This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Everybody, we're back with another episode of Horror Movie Night, and because there's a Friday the 13th in December, I was very creative, very sneaky, and picked another Friday the 13th movie. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, 1984. It's practically like we're just doing the films in reverse at this point.
No, that's not the reason why you picked this, dude. It was because of the 40-year anniversary.
Yes, of course, that too. That was what it was. So I have the exciting job of recapping this one, and I gotta say, I think I recapped a previous Friday the 13th movie, and I did not write as extensive notes as I did on this one. But
you have a lot of experience with the Friday the 13th, though. Like, you did the whole
live
rundown for the live stream for Geekscape. You've done this before.
He's done that marathon more than once.
More than one
sound.
I wish I had like some way to echo the cracking, because it did sound like a
Get a fucking Echoplex and put like a different mic up in front of your beer can opening.
Could I have some sort of like little beat pad, like while we can I run the soundboard on this podcast? This was hard, but I just picked up Blended with Lumber number 4, because I was like, it's the 4th Friday the 13th. You can't even see this at all. Blended with Lumber, because we're in the woods. It is an imperial stout. Oh my God, there's a whole description. Stout aged 32 months in bourbon barrels before being blended and conditioned on pecans, coffee, vanilla beans, and coconut from Timber Ale.
That sounds incredible.
I'm going to report
It might
back.
actually be one of those beers that you can only have like, a quarter of, and then it's too rich.
I think it might be, especially after our previous recording. But what about you, Scott? Are you sipping on anything to go along with this beautiful sequel?
Massive beer called Big Papi, P-A-P-I, from Commonwealth Brewing Company. I have no idea where they're from. Commonwealth, they're in Virginia. Well, I should have known.
And
it is a double IPA, and it is quite good. But I picked Big Papi for 2 reasons. One, because this is, in my opinion, the biggest Jason, physically.
Okay.
And 2, for the for the people who are in the Patreon who can see Kyle's background, which is the Crispin Glover dance scene, one of the Doublemint twins is there, and she's wearing a pink and blue and white shirt, and this has pink and blue and white on it. So
it does look a lot like her shirt. It's beautiful.
That's perfect.
It tastes just like her too.
Yeah. Oh. And this tastes like Crispin Glover. That's crazy.
Wow.
Wow.
Let's dive in, shall we? So Friday the 13th, the final chapter, we get a quick recap of the first 3 films, and then we find ourselves at the end of part 3, where Jason's body is finally recovered and taken to the morgue. So the thing that's interesting about this particular movie is that parts 2, 3, and 4 all take place on the exact same weekend. Like, it is just
Really?
Jason Voorhees.
It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Jason Voorhees starts at Camp Crystal Lake, kills a bunch of the people who are starting to reopen that camp, goes down to a local farm the next day, slaughters a bunch of people there, and then, because he's taken away by the coroner, makes his way right back to Camp Crystal Lake. So it's kind of wild that they designed it like that. But
they also made Tommy Jarvis
about,
age really quickly to get up to 6. Like, he ages 10 years in 4 or whatever it is.
Yeah. So we got to talk about this hospital scene, right? Because we have the horniest coroner
I love this
in the
guy.
world, just watching workout videos, sipping a beer, making out with nurses. He's just living the life, man.
If it wasn't for those pesky corpses, it would just be a vacation all the time.
You thought Halloween 2 was horny?
Yeah.
Dear God. So there's not a lot of humor in this movie, at least not intentional humor, but there's one part that makes me laugh, and I feel like it was intended to make me laugh, which is that he's making out with this nurse, the hand hits him, and it is like 45 straight seconds of him just being like, Jesus fucking Christmas Christ on a cracker, what the fucking shit? Like, he is going
And that is
absolutely
how we got an
off.
R rating for our podcast.
Yes. But then there's also this over-the-top delivery of he's talking to the nurse, and she's about to leave, and he goes, "Where are you going?" And she goes, "I'll tell you where I'm going. I'm going crazy." Like, she's leaving a Seinfeld scene.
Yeah.
Storms out the door.
Yeah.
And this
we should throw the bass line underneath that scene just to see if it plays.
This leaves Jason alone to kill the coroner and the nurse. And man, shout out to this hacksaw to the neck followed by a full head twist off.
Very nice.
Kill that we
Very
get.
nice.
Beautiful.
Real quick, Matt. Did you? So either for you guys, have either of you guys? Well, this is probably a stupid question, so I'm gonna ask the last stupid question first. Have you guys watched the kill count from Dead Meat on this movie? The kill count episode for this movie?
No, but I have watched multiple documentaries where they do a kill count of their own.
Well, all of I learned a bunch of stuff because I couldn't make it through the 10 hours or whatever of Crystal Lake Memories. But that guy from Dead Meat had a bunch of information on his episode about this movie where he's talking about how they did some of the kills, and I think that the head twist is arguably my favorite kill in this movie, except for literally the final kill. But But I mean, this is Savini, so obviously it's ramped the fuck up. And it's so good, but I just loved that scene. Like, I love that kill because it's all practical, and I mean, they did a lot of like reversing things. Like, a lot of the things that are like stuck in people's necks are like pulled out. They literally did it reverse, and then they just switched the tape backwards. I found that one to be one of the more interesting ones when he was talking about it. So I'm sure that was kind of culled from like Blu-rays and Crystal Lake Memories and all that, but super fun. I think that literally everything that Savini did in the 80s is worth like, now that's, we don't need another In Search of Darkness. What we need is literally a Savini kill count documentary that shows how he did every single awesome kill from the 80s.
I'd get into that. That would be kind of cool. Like, really, like, because there's a lot of deep dive stuff that like he had done too that he still brought his A game completely.
Yeah, and
like,
I don't want to sit through
the
the discussions and the talking head stuff. I don't even want to hear Savini talk. I just want to hear how he did it.
I don't want to hear Savini talk.
We can get that guy who looks just like Tom Savini that's always at Creature Feature Weekend to explain it to us.
But just keep him 100 feet from a school.
Presented by Horror Movie Night. It's that guy.
So Jason escapes this medical facility, and then we jump cut to just a casual conversation between the twins as if we know who these people are. Just totally new people, have had no build up to them. And this is also where we meet Tommy Jarvis, played by Corey Feldman, and his sister Trish. Now, Tommy is a kid who loves making masks of his own, but boy, does he hate haircuts. That's our establishing understanding of Tommy. I know they talk about this in the Crystal Lake Memories, and I don't believe them one bit, but the director swears up and down that Tommy Jarvis is not inspired by Tom Savini, to which I say bullshit. He is a character named Tom, surrounded by masks that he's made by himself. I feel like there's
and the masks were made by one of the guys that worked on this movie.
Yeah. And they're cool. Like, they're pretty cool masks. I don't believe that Tommy Jarvis made them, but they're very cool.
Also, when it was time for him to, like, show off his skills to, like, make Jason feel like he was hallucinating seeing himself, he did a real shit job, all right?
Terrible job. Not great. We meet our gang of victims, which is a group of teens that are about to spend a week up at Camp Crystal Lake, and it's made up of Paul, his girlfriend Sam, their virgin friend Sarah, her boyfriend Doug, the extremely awkward and recently dumped Jimmy, played by Crispin Glover, and his best friend and sexist horn dog, Ted. And Ted, I must say, does give one piece of advice to Crispin Glover, which I actually think isn't the worst advice I've ever heard, but his take on it is douchey. And his advice is never get rejected twice by the same person. And I think that that's a good tip, because if someone says no to you once, just take that no and move on. But that is not his intention with that advice. I was about to say, like, I think that you're seeing the good in a bad character. Boy, am I. We also get to meet a hitchhiker who's literally just there to be killed. This hitchhiker is basically an extra. She's there with no lines of dialogue. Her sign does the speaking for her so that you don't have to pay her for dialogue. But it is a pretty nice touch. Jason shows up, knife through the neck, and then we get this close-up of the banana just smushing inside of her hand as the death grip takes over. And now the gang of teens do what gang of teens do in these movies. They meet up with two twins and go skinny dipping.
Nobody feels awkward about this at all. Everybody feels completely comfortable with themselves and their bodies.
Everybody
I'm proud of them for that.
At high school age is ready to be naked in front of their friends without fear.
Are they high school? Are they college?
I don't know. Let's say
I
college.
hope that they're at least 18, or else this movie is way worse.
I love that there is this common knowledge that these people are just 25, 30 years old playing whoever. It just makes me so happy. And this is clearly a bunch of nubile teens Sorry. I'm sorry. Don't. I think I feel bad that I said that. Clearly, this is just a bunch of high school age kids, completely nude for the camera.
Scott's right. I think they're supposed to be college.
Or they get the money to rent a cabin or a house for a weekend.
I was going to say,
so let's just say they're
what high schoolers are allowed to go. Yeah.
They are not counselors as much as they are rent. Yeah, it's a rental property.
Well, since they don't have to watch any kids, they can just fuck. It's like really, the best of both worlds for them.
Let's get the fucking.
Well, they're having a blast with this skinny dipping situation until Buzzkill Trish and Tommy show up.
Tommy's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, he's a literal child being exposed to so much nudity at once.
And that's also, apparently, that was like truly, so Corey Feldman was 12 when they filmed this, and he was like, he just wanted to hang out with the grown-up kids, and I guess that he got a whole eye full of naked man butt and boobies and all sorts of shit.
That explains a lot.
I'm like, I'm happy for him, but I also know the difficulties that came along with it. In the film, all Trish had to do was just be like, "Hey, man, shut your mouth. Like, just put the jaw up. Like, we'll get through this together." But that's not how these things work.
She does get an invite to their party. Now, whether she shows up to their party, who knows? But she gets the invite. And then I wrote this little side note: every camp slasher film always needs a bit where someone pretends to be dead floating in the water, and never once has it been effective. But we get one of those little bits.
What
on
are you
the
talking
drive
about?
home,
What was that? What was the movie we watched in the summer where the guy was fake dead twice?
Tentacles?
It was Tentacles.
On the drive home, Trish's car breaks down, and we're introduced to the sexy hiker known as Rob. And then they just give him a ride to their house for some reason.
He's not scary at all.
No.
He's definitely
he is the
not
least scary man.
An SA kind of guy.
No. They all trust him. It's all good. The teens are back at the house, and they put on the least danceable music humanly possible, and then they attempt to dance. And this is where we get the Crispin Glover dance, which is truly a sight to be seen.
Yes. Yeah. If there's anything That's the only thing I knew about this movie before going into it.
Oh, is this your first watch?
This is my first watch.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's only my second.
My first watch, and I sort of knew that this is top tier. Like, this is usually considered sort of the best.
Some people put this as their number one. Like, there's a lot of people put this as the number one.
I get it. I mean, well, you continue recapping, because I do think there's
the thing. I mean, but the thing is with this dance, we have to linger on this dance for just a little bit.
Please.
Because, like, the thing that blows my mind with this is that this had to have been the best take that they got of Crispin Glover dancing.
It wasn't the first one. I know it wasn't the first one because the rest of the teens in quotation marks, could not keep straight faces while he was dancing. Apparently, the director wanted Crispin Glover to dance like this because he would do this around clubs in L.A. and just be a fucking weirdo. And he was like, do that thing, Crispin. And Crispin was like, okay.
I mean, Crispin Glover has been a weird man from the second that he stepped in front of a camera. So that doesn't shock me. But my God, it's truly a sight to be seen. Listeners will never be able to verbally explain what happens. Just Google it. You'll find it. Someone's definitely put this on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, yes.
So Sam gets jealous, leaves the party, goes floating on a raft, and then she's quickly impaled by Jason. Paul, her boyfriend, goes to look for her and gets harpooned just straight in the dick. Just the worst way I could imagine going.
Matt, that makes me think that you don't have a very active imagination because, it would suck to get harpooned in the dick, but I can think of 30 different ways that would be more painful and take longer to bleed out, all right?
Fair enough. I feel like that one's not killing you that much, and you're just thinking, "Oh my God, what just happened to my dick?" for a long time. Jimmy, aka Crispin Glover, his dance moves worked. One of these twins wants to hook up with him, and the other one wants to leave. Mostly because Kyle, I don't blame her because Ted is doing the thing that ruins most parties, which is, hey, everybody, let's get stoned and watch porn together. And watching porn in a group, never the right call.
Anybody else here watch porn in a group?
Once. It's a mistake you make one time.
Exactly.
Yes. No. We watched I think this was the right move, but it was still troublesome. It was there was a Vinegar Syndrome, of course. Hi, I'm Kyle. There was a Vinegar Syndrome trailer compilation which showed their whole catalog from 2017. One disc was all the sort of like normal narrative stuff, and then one disc was all the pornos. And it's hysterical because there are a lot of pornos with incredible storylines, but at the same time, these trailers are still porn trailers. So, it's very fun and funny for 3 to 4 trailers, maybe 5 if there's a weirdo one in there. But then, at some point in time, you are just watching porn with all your friends.
Yeah, what am I going to do with this erection?
What am I
what are all
supposed
of
to
us
do?
going to do with these erections?
Yeah.
So the
Some
erection
people have
was
an answer for
never-
that. It's not my friend group.
In my circumstance, the erection was never a thing that we had to worry about because it was actually after the first time I ever went to Monster Mania, my friend bought like horror-themed porn out of curiosity, and we put on like an Italian zombie porn.
Do I know this person?
No, you don't know this person.
Because that is a weird fucking move.
Yeah, we made it maybe 30 minutes, and I was like, I think I'm tapped out on this. This is too much. Because we were like, we need to at least wait for the zombies to show up.
There was no reanimation.
Are you still mad that I brought Burial Ground for all of us to watch? Are you guys still mad about?
Still a little rough. But yeah, so the one twin, as she's leaving, she gets killed by Jason, and I have to say, her kill happens slightly off camera. It's done in shadow as a lightning bolt strikes, and I think that is a very tasteful touch.
It's cool. So effective.
Yeah. We got a couple off-screen kills actually.
That really work. They totally work, and they don't dull the movie at all for being for being a slasher film. I'm sorry, I keep getting ahead of myself.
Because I think that this movie does something, and we're about to hit it. Actually, the movie does an interesting thing where you get these like 3 kills very early on. Right, you get the coroner and the nurse and the hitchhiker. And then it is like a solid 30 minutes where they're just establishing who all these characters are, what their relationships are, what their storylines are. But then it kind of turns, really starting with the twin leaving and getting killed. Then we immediately jump to Tommy and Trish's mom coming to the house. The power's out. She walks around. She gets killed off camera. And then it's like every 5 minutes, it's just knocking off each teen that's in this house, starting with Jimmy. He gets killed with a corkscrew to the hand, followed by a cleaver in the face. Fucking brutal.
That's one of those reverse ones for sure.
Oh, for sure. Trish goes and finds Rob, and he informs her like, "Yo, my sister was killed by Jason this weekend, and I'm trying to get revenge because he escaped from. He's not at the morgue anymore." And then he's just knocking out everybody else in the house. And I wrote down, did any of you guys have a favorite kill during this part? And why was it the guy's face being smashed in the shower?
Yep. That was,
I mean,
it's so funny because I have a first act favorite kill, a second act favorite kill, and a finale favorite kill. And I don't know if there are any other movies that come to mind that are like that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, because this one is that Tom Savini brutality where the hand bursts through the glass of the shower and you think that that's the end of it. Like, it's going to be like he grabs his face, smashes against the wall at the end. And instead we get a close-up of the face starting to concave from the force of the hand. Yeah. And that's just like that extra push that really just works. Trish and Rob arrive at the house. They find all the teen corpses. My favorite is the person, I think it is Crispin Glover, that's like corkscrewed to keep her from leaving the house.
And then Jason like rips him down. I mean, like, that is the grossest thing that happens in the movie. For some reason, of all of the brutality in the movie, the corkscrews that are like just basically like getting ripped through the dead flesh just really makes my toes curl.
Yeah. Well, Jason kills Rob. Trish runs home, and her and Tommy try to barricade in the house. And this is when Tommy gets over his fear of haircuts. And he cuts up his hair, gives a big shavy do to try to look as similar to young Jason as possible. And he saves the day by absolutely chopping the ever-loving shit out of Jason.
Oh, man.
And one of the highlights of this whole movie, I'm sure this is something that you were thinking about talking about too, Scott, is you get this machete to the side of the face, which is cool, but it's the fall down and slide down the blade a little bit. That's like
so good.
What an extra little touch. And I know in Camp Crystal Lake Memories they show an extended version of that kill where they had a puppet face and the puppeteer put his finger through the mouth and a little tongue came out of the mouth and was like wiggling.
I think there were 4 people that worked that effect because it was like the eyes, the mouth, the tongue, and the machete or something like that, or the blood that came down the machete. Yeah, it's gnarly. It's a good ass way to kill Jason. So they originally wanted to cut the top of his head off, and then they somebody at whatever like executive team owned Friday the 13th at the time.
I think it's not New Line. I don't
whatever
remember
it was.
Who it is, but whatever.
They were like, no, because they were there. This was hot on the heels of 3, and 3 was doing so well in theaters, and I want to say it was actually theaters, or like a second wave of theaters, but it had been so successful that they were like, no, I know this is the final Friday, but we're already going to plan to do a 5. And so they were like, don't kill him 100%, just kill him 80%. So like that's why that we didn't get like a complete like top of the head.
And
gone.
I mean, a good call for them because successful wise, I must give a shout out here. Budget of $2.2 million and brought in $33 million in 1984. Like
that's crazy. That's a $2.2 million movie. I mean, money is different then, but that's just crazy.
And
this is why old fucking dudes in Hollywood are always bitching now about like, people aren't going to the theaters anymore. People are staying home. It's because they want to make $31 million on a movie.
Yeah, dude.
Well, and you know, I'm just looking at this real quick, and like this is one of those iconic video store covers, and I must say that while Friday the 13th was never my number one slasher franchise, it might run the gauntlet for top quality box art in the VHS era. Like, almost every one of those covers is iconic in their own right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But now Jason is dead, and they never made another one of these movies from this point.
No, it's crazy that it stopped at 4.
And that wraps up
The
Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Wouldn't it be amazing if we had more to watch?
It would have been so good.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
We're making an ad.
Snapping ads.
I hear that Gary Sinise is free.
Oh, okay, great.
He hasn't worked since 2020.
So, what would be the script that we would have Gary Sinise say for the Napping Through Happy Hour podcast?
Listen to this damn show. Damn it.
The Napping Through Happy Hour podcast, brought to you by Geekscape.
Real life, real drama, real time.
I'm Gary Sinise.
That's the ad. That's the ad. That's the ad.
And since this one was my pick, I'm going to go first on this one. Yeah. I wanted to go with another film that features like a bunch of teens that are varying degrees of likable in a cabin. And I went with There's Nothing Out There.
Nice choice.
Nice.
That would be fun.
Nice choice. Scott, go ahead.
I was going to go with the Savini, and I changed my mind. I'm actually going to go with You Might Be the Killer. Because I need something that has a lot of humor to kind of offset the lack thereof in this film. Yeah. And I don't mean that this movie isn't super fucking fun.
Beyond Crispin Glover dancing and that one freak out from the corner, there's not a lot of joy that you're pulling out of this movie from like witty dialogue or anything.
Yeah, but I do think, I really do think that this. I have never shied away from my love of Jason Lives. I still think that Jason Lives is the best Friday the 13th movie. I would put Part 4 alongside the original as far as like rewatchability for me. After watching it this time for the show, I'm like, damn, Mike, I think that I underestimated how entertaining this film is, even though it's still pretty fucking dark.
I'm pretty sure Dylan was the one that told me this, but Dylan, this is his like, all right, it's Friday the 13th. I'm gonna have to watch a Friday the 13th movie tonight. This is kind of his go-to because he's like, you just get great kills. It's a decent runtime. The characters are likable enough, but still detestable enough that you don't mind seeing them die, but you also don't hate spending time around them in the meantime. Like, it kind of checks off all those boxes, and he's just like, it feels like an actual film and not a meta film like Jason Lives. Like Jason Lives is way more goofy and loose than this one. How about you, Kyle?
So that dovetails really nicely into what I'm going to say, because I do think that like, and I feel like I've been vocal on the show. If not, I've just been vocal in my life that like Friday the 13th is like not really my cup of tea. But at the same time, I had never seen Part 4, right? Like this is the first time I'm seeing Part 4 is for this show, right? So like there's something that I'm missing, and I do feel like this is sort of the thing that I hoped and wanted Friday the 13th to be, but kept missing, and then just gave up on. So my double feature for this is actually John Carpenter's Halloween, and I feel like that they both really like epitomize slashers in a lot of ways. Like Halloween being. We know that it's not the first slide. We talked about this many times, but we know it's not the first, but it's like the one that like sort of like solidifies a lot of slasher motifs that get used. And it is also 70s horny, and it is also like very scary, and there's also moments of, it's also very dark. And then there's a couple moments of like levity and like whatever. And like, this is that for Jason Voorhees. Like, this is that for the Friday the 13th series. Even if it's not the first one, like, this is the one that feels to me like it actively is like, this is what Jason Voorhees and a Friday the 13th film are. And I think that it kind of accomplishes everything that on paper I expect from a Friday the 13th movie. And then also, I mean, the first Halloween means that is what that is too, you know? So that would be my double feature.
All right. Guys, we're very close to Christmas, and I can't make a guaranteed promise, but hey, if you're listening to this right now, get your orders in at hmnpodcast.com, and we'll try to get you shirts in time for Christmas, but that is fully on the post office at that point. But go grab some t-shirts, get some swag, hit up our TeePublic. Maybe they have some cool shirts that we don't have on our actual store. Also, visit our Patreon, patreon.com/HMN podcast. And finally, find us on all of our socials, HMN Podcast. We're fun. We're nice to hang out with.
We are fun. We're very cool.
The final segment of this show, what did you watch, listen to, etc., that you want to talk about? Scott, you talked about this a couple weeks ago. I interviewed them, and by the time this episode's out, people have heard the bonus episode. But I got around to watching the Weird Visions Society, and this movie is kind of unlike any other film I've seen. You described it perfectly when you talked about it as an ambient horror film. And I think that it's a really unique aesthetic. I had a lot of fun with this. It captures this perfect way of trying to do giallo. It tries to do like shot on video film. It has the color palette of like street trash, minus all of the ick of street trash. It just has the colors of street trash. And
it does
it's
have
just
some goop though, but not in a gross way.
Oh boy, is it goopy! But like, I mean, like the other ick that comes from street trash. And it's these 4 short stories, all shot on like a cheap budget. The way that they made this movie is kind of fascinating. They intentionally shot it with no sound and then built all of the sound in post. So they like wrote all the music, created all the sound effects, had all of the actors redub the lines that they had done in the actual filming, because they wanted it to just have that very 70s feel to it. And what both of the directors said to me when I interviewed them that I think is really true is that they're like, it's an homage, but it's not a parody. Like, they're like, we didn't set out to do any of this to make fun of it. We just tried to recreate it because we love it so much. And I think that really shines. So if you are into Italian 70s movies specifically, you got to watch this movie. It's available on VHS through Lunch Meat Media. And they're doing a couple festivals. I actually am trying to get them in contact with Craig at Creature Feature, because I think that this would play awesome at Creature Feature with a crowd. It's just that right level of like, you need to really fucking love this stuff to enjoy type vibe.
You throw that up on a Friday night and it would be perfect. I'm looking at they have a big cartel right now, and you're right. So Lunch Meat is putting out their VHS. They do have a Blu-ray. They also have a novelization, which is so exciting.
That's delightful.
They have a full-blown novelization on here for it too, which is crazy.
And I guess I'll give a shout out
which is 5 short stories of the vignettes from the film. Again, I'm not I haven't seen it yet. Both of you all, it sounds amazing.
I think you're gonna love
check it out.
I literally told Kyle if I was to rank by all of the hosts who would like it the most, it would go Kyle, Matt, Scott. Like, it's such a Kyle movie.
It's close for me even, because like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's way out of my typical, flavor, but it worked so well for me.
It's a ton of fun.
Adding it.
It's also crazy because I know some of the people who worked on it, so like I'll just be watching it, then I'm like, hey, Timmy's here. It'll just be like those
like
random
he's
moments.
in my house.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, so Weird Vision Society, go look it up. And next from either one of you guys.
I'll head it up next.
I'm ordering this Blu-ray. Do you mind going, Scott?
Nice choice. Yeah. So I am embarrassed to say now. Just was behind the curtain. It's been 2 weeks since the last time we recorded. In that 2 weeks, I read 2 more of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books. So I am now on book 4.
Yeah.
They are so much fun. I told myself after the third one, when I finished the third one that I was like, okay, I'll take a breather and I'll read something else, probably one of my retro horror paperbacks that Kyle gave me. I still want to, I really want to get to Charnel House, but nope, just finished it and rolled.
You're
it was
on a
literally
roll,
like
brother.
I finished it with like maybe 45 minutes left before I was like, I really got to go to bed tonight on a school night or whatever. And I was like, I'm just gonna go to the other room, swap out for book 4, and I got like another 15-20 pages in, and I was like, okay, it's time to go to bed. Super fun.
Love it. All right, and Kyle,
I love that you're on a roll.
take a pause on that Blu-ray and.
No, it's complete. My order's completed. My order number is. I'm just kidding. I'll give you that over there.
Don't spit in this order.
It's the end of the year, and listen, there's plenty of movies that I've not seen that I will have to try to catch up on before award season. That's sort of what I do. But I did get to see Anora in theaters during my birthday weekend, and it's incredible.
Now, is it like a thriller?
So Anora's not really a thriller, only in the sense that like. This is really I'm doing this off the bat. It's not like Uncut Gems where it's like so tense and thrilling and like I'm on the edge of my seat, but at the same time there is this sense of like real life, when's the other shoe gonna drop type of dread, where it's like we are just like living in a situation where you eventually know that something has to give, but the amount of time that elapses between what happens and what gives is letting you live in this space that is just like, okay, like when, and it actually is almost a comfort because it's like, it's not so by the book. I mean, it's a 2 hour, it's almost like a 2.5 hour movie. So it's long in the sense of like, but it allows you to live in that space, and God bless it. Like I mean, I really thought it was incredible. And I like a lot of Sean Baker's work. You know, I love Tangerine. Like the Florida Project was probably the favorite of that year, one of my favorites of the year that it had come out. I just think that Sean Baker's an incredible filmmaker while also being an incredible like film lover, while also being an incredible like this is how movies should be made type person. You know what I mean? It's not like he's both a filmmaker in craft, but then also like we can make a movie and not fuck anybody's life up. Yeah. You know? And it's like it's really incredible to be able to do both, while also then still being just like a normal human person, which I really appreciate. And I think there's gonna be a couple maybe contextual things and difficult things that people have issue with, and maybe that also being from, you know, a white male filmmaker. But at the same time, I you know, there's always going to be there's always going to be, even if it wasn't him, there's always going to be this sort of like, you shouldn't do that, but who's going to do it thing, you know, that I think that like, there's this, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff online about Anora, and I think that it's hard to avoid. And I think that if you can, try to see it before more shit comes out online, you know, also before, you know, awards season and stuff. I thought it was fantastic, and I really enjoyed it. I saw that as a double feature with Heretic, which, guess what? Like, you know, Homeboy gives a great performance. Homeboy. But Hugh Grant gives a great performance. Yeah, Hugh Boy gives a great performance. You know, for me, it didn't hit all the notes that it should have, but it was also still fun to watch, and it was a great B picture to Anora. I'm so glad that Anora was not our second movie of that day, and it was our first, but Heretic was a nice sort of like palate cleanser, like, you know, Saw meets Reddit atheist, and it was good.
All right,
worth checking out.
Well, speaking of heretics, next week's episode is our Christmas episode, and we're gonna put a dark angel on the top of the tree. So stay tuned for more horror movie night.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.